The game at Missouri last year, do, the way you won that, because every other game, including the SEC championship, was by double digits or more. If you don't win that game that way, do you think you guys have what it takes mentally or the resilience wise to beat Ohio State?
That's a great question. So I think ultimately you would like to believe that, of course you do, because it's the preparation that you put in throughout the off season, January, summer, um, even just some of the things you kind of deal with through life. Just being a college student, sometimes life comes up. It's all not always just peaches and cream. So of course you want to believe that you have, but I think ultimately that game last year was such a essential role to what that team became. So I think ultimately, I think we had the opportunity to kind of create our identity through that game. So I think we could have, but definitely, we're grateful that we were able to have that game to help build us.
Yeah, Cedric, 53 points against Kentucky. I believe you rushed for over 240 yards against Vanderbilt. Obviously, this past weekend, you guys look really well on offense. Don't give up a sack. Do you guys feel like you're in rhythm as an offensive line? And just speak to how well you guys are playing right now.
So I think that the guys have done a tremendous job. I think that they've done a tremendous job protecting. I think they've done a tremendous job of communicating in the run. Because of course there's a lot of things that's going on. That there's that there's the game inside of the game, blitzes, schemes, slants, just all types of stuff to try and stop. First and second down progress, right? So it's trying to get you behind the sticks so you ended up at third and long. So I think we've done a tremendous job of being able to communicate on first and second down what's going on the sideline, making adjustments to try and hinder that, try and stop that a little bit. But I think the most encouraging thing is I think that we've done a tremendous job and we've done a great job. And I want to give my guys their flowers, but I think just being myself, I kind of look at some of the things that we aren't doing well and some of the things that we would like to clean up and some of the things that we want to be better at to possibly have even a better product. So definitely grateful for the way that the Lord has allowed us to play so far, but definitely, I guess, conscious of some of the things that we have messed up and that we want to be able to fix. So I think it just kind of depends. So I can start with myself personally. I think that for myself, there's times that I get caught in bad positions, right? So sometimes your eyes kind of lie to you. You kind of looking at a little bit too much. Maybe you're looking at a safety. You're supposed to be blocking this defensive lineman right in front of you. You're just trying to see if you need to make a call for the backside to try and see if you need to bypass this guy. Just different things like that. And sometimes those things can get you in bad positions. So I think just some of those, I guess, maybe small things and just trying not to overcomplicate the game at times, I would say for myself.
This is kind of along those same lines as an offense overall, but was there any sort of relief on the part of everybody in the offensive team meeting room in terms of what you were able to do against Florida, knowing that you were having to make that adjustment with Brock out and all that kind of stuff? Ladd said, is there some confidence and belief that came with what y'all were able to do last week?
So I think ultimately we are very grateful for what we were able to do last week. I think Florida has a great defense. They presented a lot of challenges. I know some third downs. There was literally like 7 guys just walking around the ball, no idea, what's going on. So I think they're a great defense. I think they do an amazing job. But ultimately, we have to get back to work. We can't bring any of those points with us to Missouri. That won't help us this week. What we've done in the past. So I think it's just being humble enough to understand that you may have had I guess, relatively good game, but ultimately it's time to get back to work.
Cedric, what did you see from Lawson against Florida and just the progress he's made over the course of his freshman year?
So I think I've seen the same thing that I saw really just in fall camp. He was a guy that when you first saw him, he kind of pops, he kind of flashes to you that guy would be a good player if he continues to work and just stay true to who he is. I was really impressed by what he was able to do. I don't think he played perfect, but what I do think is I think he gave a tremendous effort. I think he knew what he was doing, and I think that he was always in the right position to be able to make those plays. And that's really half the battle when it comes to football is being able to know what to do and being in those positions too, possibly be able to make those plays. So I think Luckie is a tremendous player, and I'm really happy from what I've seen from him.
You're a veteran, been around, played in a lot of big games. What is the mindset? There's this Georgia standard, and it's about you guys and nothing else. But yet everybody that's on your schedule wants to take their shot. Number one, 2-time defending national champion. So just the mindset of preparing that every week. Missouri's coming in highly ranked, and just they're going to give you their best shot. Just your mindset and preparing for that.
So I think the first thing is taking all of that out, right? Taking away the previous championships, taking away the previous games won, all of that. And I think when you break it down to who Missouri is as a team, they're a great football team. So seeing some things on them, haven't had a chance to fully break down their film yet. But, of course, being a fan of football, you watch and you look, and you just kind of pay attention. And they have an amazing football team. They're doing some amazing things on offense, on defense. They're creating a lot of havoc. They really like to bring a lot of cover zero and different things like that to create some of those issues for the offense. So I think they're a great team. And when you take away all of the previous accolades and all of that stuff, you have to break it down to it's us versus them. And that's just kind of the bottom line. It's just understanding your opponent, understanding what they're trying to do, and having the level of respect for them that they deserve, because they've been a tremendous team this year, and they will continue to be a tremendous team because they're a great team. So I think it's just understanding that none of that stuff can come with you. It's having, the humility to understand that this is who this team is, and you have to accept the challenge and be able to go out there and execute at your highest level as well.
Yeah, Carson had let it be known after the game that, the Florida game meant a little bit more to him being from Jacksonville. He was a little bit more excited going into that. But having seen him, over the course of the game and then after the game and around the facility, obviously, what have you seen since then from him in terms of, getting back to being the usual Carson Beck in terms of leading this team?
After the Florida game?
Yeah.
So, he's the same guy. Of course, the night after the game, you want to enjoy it, right? So in the locker room, super ecstatic, excited, just really taking in the moment. But I think there's kind of a level of, I don't know how to say it, but it's just something that kind of brings you down to earth. So just kind of noticing, watching him talk to his family and friends after the game, watching how excited he is with them, and just kind of seeing those things, talking to him on the bus ride back, plane ride back, and you just kind of gradually see somebody, I guess, kind of come back to just the reality. And the reality is that played an amazing game, but ultimately that's not the last game of the season. That's not our end goal. So you have to be able to move on and get past that. And I think that he's done a tremendous job since being back in the building today, of not really walking around high and mighty like, he's the big shot on campus, but understanding that he played a great game, but, it's now time to get to the next one.
Interesting age we live in with the transfer portal and everything. Dominic Lovett this week goes against his old team he just left. Two questions, what have been your observations of just Dom overall, how he's fit in and being a part of this team now? And then have you talked to him? Do you sense anything with him getting ready, being particularly excited about playing his old team?
So I think the thing I love the most about Dom is just the fact that he's really a person that wants to soak up everything he can. So when he first came to Georgia, the first thing I noticed about him is that he was really quiet, as far as he wasn't the first one to speak in the conversation. He wasn't the first one to be loud, say something. He wanted to learn, listen, and just observe, just kind of learn the way that we've been doing things for previous years and kind of be a part of that. So I think he's done a tremendous job of acclimating himself without, I guess, changing himself to what the Georgia standard is, to what Georgia wants to be. And I think that's an amazing thing. And I love that about him, is because he wants to learn. He wants to do it right. He wants to win. And that's something that you can't coach, not something that you can instill in somebody. It has to be natural. So I absolutely love that about him. But I'm sure, he wants to play well in this game with this being his old team. But ultimately, I do know Dom, and I do know that winning the game is more important to him than anything. So if he has to play the game and he gets 0 receptions, 0 targets, whatever it may be, but we win the game, I know Six will be happy.
2 more questions, please. Missouri's defensive line ranks in the top half in tackles for loss and sacks in the SEC, and they kind of gave y'all a little bit of a fit last year. How are y'all preparing to kind of combat that attack?
Well, I think it's still early in the week. Definitely haven't had the chance to go out there and practice against it a little bit, so I can't give you all of that yet. But one thing I can say is that we're definitely aware of how good those guys are. They're a tremendous team. Just watching some of the games on TV, you can see some of the havoc and pressure that they're able to create. They have a bunch of great players, 99, 6, If I'm not mistaken, number 90 as well. All of these guys create a lot of havoc, and they do some great things for them. So it's just understanding that those guys have been the heartbeat of their defense. That's been the way that they've been able to kind of dominate. So I think it's just understanding what they are there for, and just kind of understanding through film and different things like that, ways to try and I guess minimize their effect.
Said you've got to play with a lot of different running backs here at Georgia now. What's different about Daijun Edwards?
So I think 30, since day one, has had a very unique running style in the sense of he's very patient, but he also has a very unique burst to him, if that makes sense. So he's patient in the sense of he's not just going to hit the first hole that he sees and just hit it 20 miles an hour. That's not him. But what he will do is he'll be patient. He'll let blocks develop. He'll help set those blocks up even. And he's very slippery when it comes to getting them down on the ground, tackling. I really don't know how he does some of the things that he does with being able to stop on a dime and cut the way he does. But I think from a very, very early time here at Georgia, it was very evident that 30 had a very unique running style, and it's one that we're very grateful for. God bless y'all.